Hello, to the Bee Formless CEO podcast. I'm thrilled to be chatting to Kristi Britto. Welcome to the show, Kristi.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And you've just recently moved from LA to Boise in Idaho. Like I said to you pre-show, you're going to roll your eyes probably, but I'm familiar with Boise, Idaho from like the classic movies and the films. There's always, that it sounds like you've had a great shift in terms of the hustle and bustle of LA and then moved into a more tranquil, quieter, eclectic place, which sounds amazing. And it kind of actually forms part of what we're going to talk about today. Because you're the co-founder and chief operations officer of SORCE, SORCE, where science meets self-discovery, which I love that. And it's a health performance focused on another one of my favorite things to talk about, which is energetic literacy. You support, guide, help people and organizations understand, manage, and renew their human energy. We'll need more of that in right now. Source blends HRV based insights with practices, mentors, enterprise programs to reduce burnout and build regenerative health. We co-founded Source with Jessica Corbin and leading global operations across product programs and partnerships. Tell us about your journey.
Yes, well, first of all, it's no surprise that people say, "Where is Boise, Idaho?" I've had this conversation so many times. Why did you move there? Is it in Iowa? Is that in the US? I have no idea. I thought it was just potatoes. We did. We moved here to downshift out of LA. The electricity of that city is incredible. I moved there, in my 20s to make a bunch of mistakes and find myself. Ended up raising my family there for a bit. My kids are now 6 and 8, and we needed to move to a more nature-drenched, notched down, play in the dirt, street lights, bikes on the town. I'm currently looking at a couple of kids throwing a football and a family walking around the block, and it's been a dream so far, but we haven't done a winter here yet. So we're gonna see if I still
Right?
say this in a year. Yeah.
Is winter
Although,
really intense there? Is it like really intense?
it's not as intense. The locals say that it's not as intense as Montana. I lived there for 5 years, or, parts of the Midwest, the East Coast. It's pretty moderate. So we'll see on the definitions of moderate and what that actually means. But yes, co-founder of Source with Jessica Corbin. She is our chief energy officer at Source, and we've been on a journey together for probably around 10 years in 2016. And then we had a big kind of conversion moment, pivot moment in 2020, where we started to roll out to enterprise and really start to discover who we were as a company, who we are as founders, and what we wanted to build. And so it's been quite a journey. She was the originator of this discovery around HRV and using that as a portal into the nervous system and into recovery, readiness, and capacity. And we have just iterated ever since. And I would say the last couple of years has been especially fruitful for my journey as a woman, as a mother, as a founder. Building this company has healed me in so many ways, of which I believe we will talk about here. But building with her has been probably the best parts of my life, alongside of my kids and my husband too.
Oh wow. And can you explain to us a little bit about HRV, what it is? Like tell us tell us about this, tell us about your product, tell us about the business. I've got so many different questions for you. But if we could
Yeah.
just start there, just so yeah, please.
Yeah, HRV is a biomarker that we all have. It's a window into your nervous system. And so people have heard things like aura and whoop, and some people have their HRV on a watch or a wrist or a ring. We don't use any wearables to take our HRV. We use a finger to camera, but it is the gold standard of well-being. There are over 500 citations in medicine around this biomarker being the single biomarker that takes in your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health and distills it down. And so you can essentially look at HRV as vitality, as life force. You want a lot of it. And so you can look at it also as your gas tank. You know, how much gas do you have in the tank on any given day? We can assess that utilizing the SORCE platform in 1 minute. So we spent a fair amount of time getting that to 1 minute to
Yeah, I was
end.
about to say, yeah. Yeah. And so you started 10 years ago. You started this journey back in 2016. Where,
Did. We were
what,
with 5 people on a beach with a truss strap, with a dongle. I met Jessica. I knew she was tinkering around with this technology. I said, we need to use this technology to help transform people's lives. And we started building together and started noticing results. And now HRV, it's a bit more mainstream, especially in the US,
yeah,
which is great news for us because we don't have to spend half of our meetings explaining what this
what it is.
biomarker
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
anymore, which is a bit of a relief. So, yes, we have built our company around this biomarker, but data is data. We use the data as a portal, not as a solution. If
yeah.
you don't do anything with the data, then what's the point of the data? We always, I always see the biohacking community, which is great, but we are not a biohacking community. We are a community of people that are committed to regeneration as the quote unquote goal and journey.
Yeah. And so were you at a point in time, like, how did you, because I'm going to jump straight into this bit as well in terms of when you booked into the pod. Was the question was, what's one unique insight or experience in life, leadership, and or business? And you said authenticity. Building my company has built me. If you're
Yes,
working, you're all about regeneration. We've got a burnout is everywhere in the world. I told you I've experienced it. Pretty much every second person you talk to has had burnout in a form of burnout, on the verge of burnout. Were you at
yeah.
a like what got you into this in the first place? Like were you at a point of burnout? Like how did you like yeah.
Definitely. I'm a high achiever by nature. If I don't have HRV, I was just talking to my co-founder early today, Jessica, around HRV being my bumper lanes. It keeps me in check. It keeps me honest. I am a person who likes to succeed. I do things to a degree that is very unhealthy if not checked at the door. I love to work. I like to grind. That is my DNA. And I have been working against my DNA for quite some time, trying to unlearn that the only way to be successful in this world is based off of your output, based on how much I can achieve, how much I can do, how much I can prove. And through the course of finding Jessica, I had a six-figure career early on, flying all over the world, going to Paris twice a year. I worked at a global media and distribution company, rising very fast. And I couldn't walk into work one day. Just couldn't do it. Now, looking back, I wonder if it's because I'm not meant to work for people. I am an entrepreneur for sure, but that was creating a lot of friction within my body, within my life. I was in tears most nights, thinking, how did I get here? What is this for? I'm a challenger by nature, so I lead with a lot of questions around if my life is not aligning how I want to design it, then we have a problem here. I need to change something. I like to have dominion and agency over my life and my choices. And the second I met Jessica, that was it for me. I quit the job. She drained her 401k long before meeting me, and we put our heads together and started creating this company from the ground up. And it really has been a bootstrapped guerrilla effort and keeping each other and our entire team. We have a data science team, our CSO, our CTO. We have partners, Lisa May, shout out. We keep each other in check so that we are not living a lie, really. So we have to build with this integrity in mind. And it has been quite the healing journey. There's so many times when I see my HRV dipping, and then we'll have a big launch with a big company. We just launched with Unilever this week, and I had to tell them the truth that I had back-to-back recover days. And here I am, in the mess of my existence and the beauty of my truth, and I'm not at full capacity today. So I'm going to call in for some support and help. Being able to dialogue with my life, with my partners, with my family, with my community, and giving language to my energy has been one of the most healing aspects of my last 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Like listening to you, I'm like, I want to get to you because like, everything you talk about that type A, that always on the grind, like, and even coming out of burnout, once
Yeah.
when it's in your DNA, like it's like
Yeah.
almost like it's an addiction, right? It's like an addiction that you are constantly having to sense check
It's true.
yourself, have people
Yeah.
checking you because when it's part of your DNA, it's a constant work. You're a constant work in progress.
100%. And I would also say, as much as we have choice, burnout is also very systemic. It
Mm,
is a product of the environments that we're in.
mm,
So for me, I have a lot of choice and dominion over my day, and I can take a midday bath and take a walk around the block. I can say no, have a boundary, shut off my Slack. But for many who are in corporate America or who are in jobs where they cannot quit or cannot, they have fear of boundaries because they have to go home and put food on the table. It's not as easy. It's not as easy to have those choices. So, really, at Source, we tackle burnout from root cause and we really address the issue systemically from looking at the organization as an organism, as a living system.
yeah.
And imagine saying that to some CEOs. They're like, what?
No, I love it because it's exactly like
What are you talking about?
yeah, but it's
Um,
true. Like biology scales, it's like a business is a living, breathing system, just like us as humans, as individuals, as teams, we're a living, breathing system. We have a heartbeat, we have a soul, we have a physical body, we have a mind. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and we have thresholds. And the more in which we can access, our dominion, the more in which we can strengthen our boundaries at work, the more in which we can tell the truth. I
mm,
love Source and I love this work, and oftentimes it weaves into my personal life so much because I haven't always been the most truthful. I would say, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm good. I can do it. No, I'm good. I'm not good. Maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm dying on the vine today. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I feel very resourced. So in building this company and spreading the work of energetic literacy, I'm able to come into a very truthful, uh, compassionate sort of frame within my system. And that has been such an easeful place for me to land. And being able to vocalize that in meetings, in boardrooms, in launches with global companies, rather than stuff it down or pretend to be something we aren't, has been not only freeing, but it's working well. People are receiving these words with a lot more ease because I think the greater population is just kind of tired of the wellness perks. They're
yeah.
done with ticking the box. They're done with leaders' heads in the sand. They're done with putting lipstick, on and saying top 20 place to work. Yay. Really, we need to address the truth of the matter, what's going on underneath the hood in these organizations and in the individual, and giving people permission to do so.
Yeah, I love it. It's so true because it's so surface, it's so reactive, it's so transactional, right? And then, yeah, you're going deeper within. Again, I've got so many million questions going on in my brain, like wanting to go, ask this, ask this, ask this. But question for you. So with your technology, with the HRV, and obviously burnout being systemic, and you're working with and huge success to Unilever and your partnerships, and that's huge. Kudos to you guys. But how do you apply that from with the HRV, that you just talked around from your finger? When you're looking at it from a business,
Hmm.
team perspective versus just an individual, Like,
That's
how does it work at that level to then be able to go back to a board and say, this is what your business is looking like. This is what HRV is telling us about your total business. Like back to the piece around the living system. And
we
it's
go
not,
into
yeah,
organizations and do just that. We monitor the nervous system of their culture. And so what that looks like in real time is we will deploy our signature program, our signature experience. Usually it's our entry point. It's called Regenerate. And we will pass out the app to the said team. And that is the team that is going to be taking their HRV scores every single day. We then aggregate that data and we can look at that data, and it's all anonymous. We don't store data in clouds. All data is stored on device. Privacy is very important to our team, and it's built into our company in a very meaningful way. It's just not our business model to be, selling data. So we then aggregate the data, and now the company heads, the managers, the C-suite, they can look at their teams with precision and see when they are trending towards peak and when they are trending towards burnout, and can get upstream on all of this mismanaged workplace stress. So they're not filling quarterly surveys out. We can see it in real time.
yeah,
Then you can ask the team, what's going on? Do you recognize this trend is true? What do you think is the solution? You can mine the data from the teams so that now you're listening with attunement and precision and acuity and really fortifying the teams, the dead soil, we like to say to some people, with nutrients. And we work with partners that have fabulous programs that we can pour those nutrients onto the team so that we're not swathing kind of a gym pass over the whole company and hoping that that fixes anything.
it's
We're
bespoke.
deep. Yeah, it's very bespoke, it's very customized. But I will say the truth, the consequence of this is it's not easy. We are not a easy, come in 30 days and your organization is fixed. That is not who we are. It's very nuanced. It's complex. It takes the leadership to lean in, to model, to show that they care, to take their own HRV score, to take this work seriously, to put not only their stamp of approval on it, but to embody what it is that they are endeavoring to change around the organization. And that takes a lot of courage and humility. And not a lot of leaders are up for that at the moment.
Yeah, and I
But
wanted to I wanted to
yeah,
ask you about that, Kristi, because it's true, right? Like it's such resistance to what is absolutely required as we continue to enter into this new world order. Like complexity, like the distraction, how busy everyone is. It's almost like everyone's just like this. And you look at people and you're staring into their eyes, but they're not really there. Do you know what I mean? There's no presence, like, and you need that presence, purpose, and performance piece, right? They all need to come together.
yeah,
So
100%.
how
And
did,
they
yeah, sorry,
this
you go.
glance over feeling, how do we get there is, we look at it from all angles. We don't pretend to have an outcome in 30 days. We formed this leadership community called the Practice to allow leaders, people, humans to step into their individual experience before deploying to their teams so
Mm.
that they can get a sense of how their own energy is cycling, so that they can restore connection to themselves before taking it out. So the practice is our signature leadership kind of community that comes together to practice energetic literacy. And then we have kind of it ripple out from there. Of course, we have organizations that reach out and want to work with us and, haven't ever been a part of the practice or been a part of a cohort, and we'll work with them. But the resistance is there. A lot of it is fear based. If we have a recover day, then people won't come to work, then there will be no productivity. But if we look at other things, professional sports, what do?
Yeah, they have active recovery. Yeah, they have their off seasons. The other thing I think that keeps coming up for me is this profitability piece, right? Like there's this continuous still it's profit first, everything else later. Back to your point around the well-being. but it's proven. Like if you have engaged, whole being teams, I call it whole being versus well-being because it's the whole, right? How do you like put the two together? Profit will follow. But at the moment, we're in this like everyone, it's still this chase, chase, chase. It's this hustle, hustle, hustle. Have you ever have you ever walked away from, have you and Jessica ever had a client come on board and then you've just gone, you're not committed and chosen to just walk away because
Yeah.
yeah.
We have. We won't say, here's the door, leave. We will simply invite them into that deeper commitment. And if they are unwilling, we know, we'll go ahead and finish up what we did, kind of finish up the engagement. And a lot of what we have found is that although the leadership, the people commissioning the engagements, they had too much fear associated with weaving SORCE throughout the DNA of their company. We had leaders and managers wanting to continue, and we will still work with people, humans, leaders that want to explore their own personal energetic literacy, and we won't close the door on you. That's why we created the practice so that
Mm,
leaders can come
mm,
and explore their own personal practice.
mm.
But I've had to get used to walking away because I really like to make things work. I know that they can see it if I just do this, and I've had to learn that the hard way. I've had some pretty incredible mentors say, "Chris, you got to learn to walk away. They're not going to change. If they're not ready, they're not ready." I'm like,
No,
"But this would be so great if they could." And it just takes an incredible amount of energy.
I was about to say. It
Yeah,
was
we
like
can
it was
edit
like an energy. It was an energy interrupter or something that was
that.
that was
So
happening.
interesting.
That was just
Yeah.
happening just then. And so then tell me, in terms of your own self, you talked around you healing and like the need to kind of sense check yourself. As the business has evolved and grown over time, how have you as a collective, as a business, ensured that you have like, have you ever had moments where you've had to say to yourself and Jessica, you know what, we're scaling too fast, we're growing too fast, we need to pull back, we need to get back to our own, like, every business has a season, like at what, like, you're getting all this, you've got all these like businesses coming on board.
Yes.
How
We
do you, yeah.
build slower than most, I'll be honest. We build slower than most. When investors have leaned in on us in the past and put $1 million checks in front of our face to, own 40% or turn us into this productivity tool or optimization tool, I wish I had the courage back in those meetings when they asked for my 10-year or our 10-year accelerated growth track. I wish I would have grown enough in my knowing and in my voice to ask them a question back. Why? Have you lost the plot? Why are we going for this? I don't think they asked that question
Mm,
uh, enough.
mm,
So we grow slower than most. We grow methodically. We have to practice what we preach. We are a company of deep integrity, probably to a fault. Probably to a fault. Marketing hasn't been our strong suit. We are organic word of mouth. We haven't grown into this hockey stick unicorn scalable machine. And I just don't know if that is our vision as
mm,
a company.
mm.
If it happens, then we have to begin again and look at the organization and the organism and go, what's going on? Are we scaling too fast? How do we peel it back? Should we do a dark December in the midst of all of this growth? It's not very easy because there's so many times where I just want to go
Yeah.
after it or go for the big check and say, yep, we're gonna do this and this logo is gonna go. And you just gotta remind yourself of the why. Know that we are imperfect. Lord knows I love an opportunity. I definitely do. I love getting our name out there. And I think we should be a lot more visible. And I've had to be okay with the growth being not what society thinks that a startup, now a growth company, is. We are just different. So,
Yeah, but it's really interesting, right? Because for me, it's that whole, you think about an organism, and that for me, it's that formless piece in terms of you're continuously shaping, reshaping. And the more you push, 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 the more you try and control it, it just goes against it goes against what you're all about, right? And it kind of almost stunts the growth. And this kind of leads me into the next bit is really we're at a point where, you know, there's a lot of fear. You're at a tipping point in terms of, but this is what the world needs. You are ahead of your time. You've essentially been ahead of your time. This whole piece around energetic literacy, the living like the organism, etc., the living breathing system. It's almost like for me, this is the future. This is the way we should be scaling. This is the way we should be operating. It's less of this hustle, hustle, hustle. What does success look like? It's like, how do we now reshape it? And ultimately,
absolutely.
what you're doing is reshaping what that looks like. And it takes, for me, I believe it takes a lot of courage and a lot of, braveness to be able to do what you're doing in terms of staying true too. Because I get caught up at times with my own business. I've just got to keep doing this. I've just got to keep hustling in it. And then and then I go, here we go. No, because it's just like back in, like, do you know what I mean? So I think that for me is a big part of, but then how do you get up every day and just you're so like you seem so measured and so got it all together. And I'm like, I bet you
I
say we're
am not.
imperfect,
I am not. I am also a mess. I am a mess. I get a recover day. I will drink too much wine. This is the podcast space that what it really looks like. I have two kids. I'm a bit of a spaz. I'm pretty impulsive. I may come off measured here, but I am most definitely always a work in progress. I think now I can laugh at myself
Yeah,
and I can honor my growth. And, there's a difference between mm, how do I wake up every day, and honor this work and honor. I talk to Jessica every day. I will have to put one more feather in her cap. She has consistently been ahead of her time. She sold one of her previous businesses ahead of her time. She is quite the visionary. And I've been so humbled to be not only, I feel like I'm mentored by her too. And I know people don't love when CEOs and COOs say that, but she has truly been a mentor for me in this space. And now I get to wake up and at least know who I am and understand what I need. And I'm able to laugh through it, cry through it. I mean, it is a mess. I yell at my kids way too much, way too much. I'm working on that. Anger is my thing. Um, but self-discovery is where it's at, and committed to growth, committed to evolution, owning it, taking ownership. I'm working
love
on
it.
that with my husband right
Yeah,
now.
I love
That's
that. I love
I
it.
don't get, but it's
What's
not always measured. It's
no,
not always,
yeah,
the way I
I
want.
love it, and I think we need more of this in the world, more of the more vulnerability. Okay, quick, couple of more questions. 4-day week. Do you think that, did you see recently Finland Prime Minister there? She's set up this 4-day working week, 6 hours a day, because it's more around wholeness. There's material external, but it's also about health is wealth sort of thing. Do you think we're a long way off that as a society? Do you think that? What's your view when it comes to what does the future of work look like and how far off are we?
I like it. I think we're a bit off. We've worked with a lot of organizations and spoke with a lot of leaders over the years. I think we're still off from making that the norm. I'm a fan of the 4-day work week, but I think something I'm more of a fan is flex schedules
Yeah,
based on personality traits, introvert, extrovert, what it
yeah,
is that you need. Maybe I like to work 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. Maybe he
yeah,
likes to work. So I'm a bigger fan in creating a work schedule and a work timeline that works for you and
yeah,
how you like where you feel most productive in your day.
yeah,
And I know that's not always easy when you're running large companies for sure to get everybody's schedules on the right time. So perhaps there's a blend here that wants to happen, especially with working from home and working remotely. But I do know that there's got to be a through line to which you can find kind of that zone that really works for you. But I'm still a fan of the 4-day work week. I do think that we're pretty far off from that though, still as
Yeah.
a still norm.
Do you
Yeah,
think we're closer to a flex schedule than a 4-day work week?
I do. I think we're closer to it. I think we're inching closer because the pain is rising. What I see is that HR leaders, C-suites, decision makers, they're bleeding out. Their bottom line is bleeding out no matter how many wellness bags they put on people's desks. It's not working, forcing them in a box, forcing them to work. What I think people need is fair pay, slacks to go dark, modeled energetic literacy throughout all of leadership. I think people need to be heard,
Mm.
appreciated. I don't think they need another pizza party. And I think the 4-day work week is similar. It could be a similar perk as unlimited pay time off if not modeled correctly.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. No, I could not agree with you more on the flex schedule, understand the chronotype, personality type, morning, afternoon person. Last question for you. What would be one piece of advice you would give a leader or a CEO, let's call it that. We'll call them, that's who they are. They're exhausted.
Hmm.
It's Monday morning, utterly exhausted, or midweek and utterly exhausted. What would be one way, what could be one thing that, what would be one piece of advice you would give them based on when you said, that day when you just couldn't get out of bed and that's how they were feeling? What would be one piece of advice you would give them?
I haven't thought about this in a while, but honestly, put your hand here and ask what it is that you need. We assert so many answers in this world, but asking yourself a question, what do you need today? And then wait for it. Wait for the answer to come and see what the truth of that is. Be curious about your needs. Be very curious about what it is that your body is trying to communicate with you. That's the biggest piece of advice that I could give. And I work on that every day. That's been something that has catapulted my healing is just putting my hand here, asking what it needs, and then maybe drizzling a little forgiveness because we all need to forgive ourselves
And a bit of
for putting
grace.
a lot on our shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Source, actually, is Source, the name Source, did that come from? I'm just because my brand communications background, did the name Source come from Source of Truth? Like, was it like the HRV being the source of truth, source to
The source of
regenerative?
are the
Yeah,
source of vitality, the
love
source
it.
of the earth being a
Yeah,
form of healing,
love it.
getting back to your own information. If there's one thing that Source loves to teach people and organizations is how to get back to your own information as that sense of truth. So, yes, and it's a fanciful spelling because we trademarked it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Kristi. What a joy. What a privilege to talk to you today. How do we find out more about Source? How do we find out more about yourself, Jessica?
Yes, it was such a pleasure. You're so great, and I love all of your questions and your light and your
Thank you.
power and all of it here. It's amazing to
Thank
chat
you.
with you. Plus, this is not my usual thing. Jess is normally in front of the
No,
camera, so
you're
this is
amazing. You need to be doing more of these. I'm like, I could see Source having their own podcast down the track.
we
Like,
do, we do. So Source has our own
oh, okay.
podcast. It's called the Practice Podcast.
That's yes.
We have our own podcast. You can learn more about Source at sorce.io. We run leadership cohorts 4 times a year. That's it. Winter, spring, summer, fall. I know this is time stamped, but we kick off October 7th in about a week with our next cohort, and we'll have another in winter and spring and fall. And anyone can apply to join those. And then from there, we do the work together. And so that's how it starts. And you can find more information on our website.
I love it. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you a wonderful evening. And yeah, oh yeah, you're heading into winter. You're in autumn. You're heading into the cooler, colder months. So
And now I could see my light, and I needed another light.
it's been a joy. Thank you so much, Kristi. Have a wonderful evening.
You as well.
Thank,
Bye.
thank you.